When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Baker's, where you'll find over 30,000 mouth-watering choices that excite your inner foodie. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices, plus extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week. You can also save up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with fuel points. More savings and more inspiring flavors make shopping Baker's worth it every time. Baker's, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
We work hard as physicians to take care of the health and well-being of our patients. But when it comes to our money, do we have the same condition of care? Probably not. Let's change that together. Welcome to the Financial Freedom for Physicians podcast, where we'll fight and advocate for your financial literacy. As always, I'm your host, Dr. Christopher Liu. Thanks for being here. Let's jump into the show.
Hey guys, welcome to this week's podcast episode, and I've got a fantastic guest for you today, Kerry Barrett, and she is an on-camera coach, corporate trainer, and a keynote speaker, and she helps clients level up their on-camera skills and confidence so they can leverage their online brands, authority, visibility, revenue. And I'm really happy to have her on the show. She's got significant experience in TV and whatnot. So, Kerry, welcome.
Thank you very much for having me. Yeah, I do all of that and more.
I'm excited to hear all about, very briefly, just what you do, how you got there, how you help clients, and we'll dive into the conversation.
Oh, my pleasure. I have a background, 20 years in broadcast news. Was a network news anchor, reporter, and producer. Won a few Emmys and some Telly Awards, among other awards, which I won't go into all of the details. But I have an extensive on-camera background. And when I left the news industry about 5 years ago, I decided to leverage all of that education, both formal education in college and coaches and consultants, but also in practical education that I acquired through 20 years of, being on camera, of storytelling, of virtual communication, of understanding how to present sound bites clearly and concisely, and use that now to teach business owners, lawyers in particular. I work with a lot of lawyers and also executives how to up-level their on-camera performance for whether it's media opportunities or virtual presentations or courtroom depositions, that and any opportunity really that people have to be in front of the lens, which is myriad these days.
Yeah. So, quick question for you is, for the audience out there, they're getting a lot of their doctors, and they're kind of looking for second incomes or just a way to get out of the industry, and they have no experience with camera or just building a brand. So kind of just talk about the nuts and bolts, just the basics of like building an online presence through video, kind of the platforms, the channels, some, tips and tricks. And we'll dive into whatever comes out of it.
Yeah, my pleasure. And thank you for asking. Well, boy, I almost don't know where to begin. That's a big question to start with. So let's tackle what platforms people should be on. I always recommend an omni-channel approach. And what I mean by that is it's generally not enough to be just in one place any longer. It's not just LinkedIn, or it's not just your newsletter. It's not just TikTok or Instagram. I always suggest at least two. For me personally, that happens to be a large priority or emphasis is placed on LinkedIn because I do a lot of B2B work. But then I also am in the process of growing my Instagram and YouTube as well. And I find that those platforms generally work a little bit better for the small business owner. So the key is to find which platform not only you enjoy being on, because frankly, you have to be able to enjoy it at least a little bit, even if it's not your thing, in order to make it sustainable. And then the second element of that, and perhaps the even more important element, is where are your ideal people hanging out? And I would start with 2 platforms. One is your primary, one is your secondary, and don't focus on too much outside of that, at least when you're first beginning. Otherwise, it is absolutely and entirely overwhelming. In terms of what video can do for you, I mean, it's only been growing since the pandemic. When I first left the news business, and we're going on about 5 years as of this recording, video was slowly growing in terms of its ability to develop and establish a brand online. The online business world wasn't in its infancy, but it wasn't where it is today. That has sped up and grown exponentially, certainly since the pandemic, but also just in terms of the way that we communicate now. So much communication is done instead of in person, it's done in a virtual environment, whether it's networking or whether it's client calls or whether it's content creation. We don't have to go into a studio any longer. We can create, for the most part, what we need from the comfort of our offices or our homes. But in terms of what video does and the ROI, I mean, there's a 90% greater conversion rate. There's an 85% greater brand recall. Email open rates have a up to 300% higher open rate when there is video in them. Video acts as a 24/7 sort of 365 global sales team for your business or your brand or your product. So video is no longer one of those, it's nice to have. It is becoming essential for the modern business owner or entrepreneur or for the modern personal brand. When you are beginning to establish that online presence, it's going to feel awkward and weird and like you're sort of yelling into the void for a good period of time, because part of developing your brand online, at least through video, is figuring out what lands with your audience and what doesn't land. And really, that is a matter of diving deep into who your audience is and what you're trying to get them to do or what you're trying to offer them. And that's not something we can tackle during this particular podcast. It's a long process, but that's the first step. And then it is practice, 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 seeing what works for them, what you enjoy, and then honing that skill from there. The biggest mistake, I think, to answer the third part of your question, the biggest mistake that people make when they're on video is they consider themselves sort of a deliverer of information. And what I mean by that is they consider video almost like a virtual white paper. That is not where video shines. In fact, if you create video that is a virtual white paper, it will flop. I can absolutely guarantee you that. Video is a place to make people feel things, whether it's a certain way about a service you offer, who you are, a challenge you overcome. It's a way to create connection. And so creating not always story, but often story, and being able to deliver with, and this is key, passion and authenticity. Those two elements are hands down the two things that get ignored for content when people are first beginning the journey. Understanding that there is a ton of distraction out there and you have to cut through all of it to get people to pay attention. That's where that passion and authenticity come in. And that's where the not a virtual white paper status video comes in as well.
Yeah. Really great answer. And then the next question is, given the video consumption habits, for example, I haven't turned on the TV in over 20 years, but all my consumption is on like a smartphone or a laptop. So how do you, cause you transitioned from TV into, helping others. How do you see it? Should it be short form TikTok, reels, or should it be long form video podcasts for YouTube? Kind of talk about the length and the format.
Well, it depends where the buyer is in your funnel. So video functions as a sales funnel. And if you're not sure what a sales funnel is, if you're, for example, perhaps a physician, if you're a lawyer, you may have perhaps a better idea of what this is. But a sales funnel is basically awareness, interest, desire, and action, right? So the top of the funnel is broad and it's wide, and it's how you bring people into awareness of who you are and what you do and educate them a little bit about what it is. Then you spark interest. So your funnel is getting a little bit narrow. People are interested in what you do. Funnel gets a little bit narrower still. they desire to work with you, funnel is the narrowest, and that is when they're taking action. So you're bringing people from the top to the bottom, right? At the top is where you have discovery videos. Those are your short form videos. Those are your 30 to, and that's not even 30 seconds anymore. It could be 6 seconds on Instagram or 6 seconds on TikTok. But those are your short Instagram reels, your YouTube shorts, your TikToks, and frankly, even now, LinkedIn. LinkedIn is offering a vertical video feed, much like Instagram and TikTok is. Whether it'll stay, I don't know. It's still very new. It depends on whether users adapt to it and begin to use it or not, but they are offering it. Then you move down into the next level of your video funnel, which is slightly longer videos. And that may be a video newsletter. It could be a vlog, a video blog. It could be a tutorial, right? So you're teaching people something. It's a 10-minute YouTube video that teaches them how to do something. Again, you're sort of walking them through that funnel. And then down at the bottom, you have your longer form content, which is often a podcast. We're talking about content that is anywhere from there's no hard guideline. It's not as, this video is 15 minutes. That means it falls into this particular category. That's not how it works. But longer form video is usually anywhere from, I would say 15 to 20 minutes all the way up to, generally speaking, about an hour. That's usually where you'll see your podcasts top out in terms of length. But again, you're walking them through that funnel. So you're starting with pain, right? That's your discovery videos. What is the pain that somebody is dealing with? Then you're moving into desire. What is it that they want to do? How can your solution help them solve that particular desire? Then you're perhaps moving into a tutorial or a testimonial, which is, 10 to 15 minute length video. And then you're moving into what it's like to work with me, your why, that sort of stuff.
Forget the burdens of tenants and toilets. Equity Multiple simplifies your investment journey, letting you invest passively in vetted, professionally managed commercial real estate. Only 5% of reviewed investments reach Equity Multiple's platform, with our asset management working on each from funding through exit to maximize your returns. Whether you're on the couch, in your exec chair, or the backseat of a ride share, Equity Multiple brings cash flowing real estate investments straight to your fingertips. All investments involve risk. Visit equitymultiple.com to learn more.
I love this idea of funnels, and it's all content, and so it can be short form in video, and just kind of where it is. It can be for marketing, and so the other thing is a lot of the audience, they're interested in public speaking, and so the question, monetarily, because I know some of my colleagues, they get paid $20,000 for a speech, but then I know very successful video bloggers and podcasters that they create a gigantic brand. They don't even have to go in front of people anymore, and then their videos make $30,000, $40,000 a month. So where does public speaking fit into all of this?
I mean, it's really up to you. Again, there's no hard and fast rule about which business model works best for all people. That's not how it is. Some people really enjoy getting up and getting on a stage and talking to a live audience in person, and they may get paid for that. And then they also may, in fact, be able to sell on the back end of even a paid speaking engagement. So you might get paid 20 or 25 grand for speaking at some sort of conference. And then on the back end, you're able to sell to individuals who are part of the audience. So public speaking versus, being on camera or in front of a lens varies. The skill sets, if we're talking skills for the two, they overlap. They're not exactly the same. Oftentimes somebody will get in front of a lens and think because they're a great public speaker, they're going to be great on camera, and find out all too late that that's not exactly how it works, and vice versa. But it really is a preference. What does your audience do? Is your audience online strictly? Are they sometimes in person and sometimes online? Or are they strictly, I go to conferences? And you'll generally find that audience might be perhaps a little bit older, skew a little bit older than a younger audience who is accustomed to doing things online. But public speaking is one of those skills that's not just about going up and giving a keynote. It's about, if you are creating content for anything, if you are giving a virtual presentation, if you are interested in, a lot of my clients are interested in media. We get them media exposure on CBS, News Nation, or, Fox Sports. They're interested in being good speakers and being compelling on camera for another reason entirely. In fact, I have a client right now who is looking to grow her speaking business. She's a doctor, but she's looking to grow it through media opportunities. So we're doing media training. Then we're pitching her to CBS, like I said, News Nation, a bunch of local TV and local radio. And then she's using those media appearances to bolster her speaking fees. So those media appearances give her credibility. They give her visibility. She's got 1 million+ followers now on social. And that's a very easy way for her to bump up her speaking fees from $3,500 per speaking engagement to $25,000 per speaking engagement.
Yeah, and what you mentioned is kind of a follow-up question is because you mentioned, a lot of the audience, they're interested in the big league, so they want to get on to like NBC or the Today Show or whatever. And so how do you do that? How do you go from kind of the small leagues to getting recognized to getting asked to go on the TV or radio?
Well, you'll probably not get asked. Probably have to pitch yourself. So usually for local TV and local radio, podcasts often as well, you don't need to have a video reel. It's great to have something to show that you can command an audience and you can speak compellingly. And sometimes for clients, I'll create a little virtual interview if they don't have enough video content or video content that is appropriate for whatever it is that they're pitching. But once you get those local news hits, once you've had some features and once you've been on camera, then you create a TV reel, if you will. It doesn't have to be long, 30 seconds, 60 seconds, comprised of a montage, if you will, of those different clips. And you use that to showcase your ability to command an audience and speak compellingly in front of a camera to the big leagues. And the big leagues they may love what you do on camera. They're probably still going to interview you, pre-interview you, and they're going to choose whether they're going to have you on their newscast or not. The Today Show, Good Morning America, things of that nature. However, the key difference between TV networks of that caliber and the local market is that they work hand in hand. So if you have a great pitch and if you have a great story, it is a lot easier to transition from one to the other, but the foundation is best built on the local side.
Yeah, kind of a stepwise ladder approach. And we're kind of coming to the end, and I have two more questions. Is because you mentioned pitch, and you have a pitch perfect framework, and you mentioned how it's helped clients land significant opportunities. What are some key components of this strategy? You don't have to give, it's kind of whet the audience's appetite, and they can follow you on socials or reach out to you afterwards.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I've got the whole Pitch Perfect framework up on my website. Welcome to check it out there. But really, it works through your purpose. It works through your intent. It works through your timeliness. It works through your channels, and it works through your hook. I would say, and the framework goes through all of those different elements, of course, in much detail, and then tells you how to apply them if you're creating a pitch for yourself. In fact, I have the pitch that I used to secure my appearance on NBC, not as a broadcaster, but as a business owner attached to that template. So you can see exactly how I applied each of those elements to my pitch. But where most pitches fall flat for a business owner or an expert is that they focus on marketing, not on news. And news is never interested in you as a brand. They're interested in what news value you can provide to their audience. So the newsworthy element is not the fact that you wrote a book, unless you're J.K. Rowling or Stephen King. The newsworthy fact is that your book has 3 new ways to combat belly fat, right? And it happens to be I don't know, Obesity Awareness Month. That's not a month, but I can't think of anything off the top of my head. So you're creating a timely element with something going on in current events and value whatever your product or your service is that combines to make a newsworthy hook or pitch for that particular program or outlet's audience. So it's always about news. It's never about marketing.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love this pitch framework. It's sitting in the audience and just kind of, if I were to look back, when I first started, I'm listening to this and, back then social media was just kind of nascent, but now you really have to have it. But then people that are shy, introverted, they're like, yeah, I hate being on camera. I get stage fright. How do you combat this, or how do you address this since video is so essential?
Yeah, well, I'm one of those people. I'm very shy. I'm an extreme introvert. I used to have an insane fear of even being seen, let alone speaking live on TV in front of hundreds of thousands of people. So I'm here to tell you it can be done. When I work with my clients, one of the things that we do when we first start our work together is we go through a lengthy diagnostic. We go through, what are the challenges? Why do you have them? What are the things that you've done in the past to overcome them? What has worked? What hasn't worked? And where do we want to go? And then I'll take my program, which is generally a 3-month curriculum, sometimes 6, and we'll reverse engineer based on where you are and where you want to get. And part of that is figuring out how to overcome those fears. At the end of the day, here's the secret sauce. There's really not a whole bunch of secret sauce. It's you just have to do the thing. But for most people, that in and of itself is so scary, and they don't know what's good and what's not good, and they don't know what the best practices are, and they want somebody to give them guidance, and they want somebody to give them feedback before they blast a video out over the interwebs that people can, trolls are everywhere, and they want some assurance and guidance. They want to know that they're doing the right thing. But I work through all of that when I'm working with my clients through that initial diagnostic.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Yeah. And part of it was just, and I find that, given today's, you can do a live stream, you can do a short on any of the socials. If you do it consistently an hour a day, it helps to get over that stage fright, and you just go out there and just have to, it's just kind of desensitization. But, yeah, really, the audience can really hear your expertise. And if they wanted to find out more, they want to establish an online video brand, public speaking, perhaps go on to the Today Show. How can they contact you, or how can you help them?
Oh, thank you for asking. There's 2 ways that are very easy to do. One is to go to my LinkedIn profile. It's Kerry Barrett, and you'll find all the links in my headline to download the Pitch Perfect framework, to schedule a free consultation call. You can also go to my website, kerrybarrett.com/resources, and you'll see all of my free resources and downloads and links to schedule calls for free strategy and consultation sessions as well.
Yeah, I love that. And for all the audience, let's thank Kerry for coming on, and give her socials a like and follow. Reach out to her for help with any of these problems or issues or goals that you may have. And with that, thanks so much for coming on.
I'm excited that you made it for another episode. You are truly the best. If you've been following the show for a while, you know that my passion is to bring you the education you need to find your path to financial freedom. Please come back week after week for new content, new resources, and great guests. Until then, if you haven't already, please be sure to check out the website, www.drchrislewmdphd.com, for more support. I'll see you next week.